Hi, this is Megan, and I'm the main support person for JP LLC. I hope you have enjoyed listening to the Unapologetically Unstoppable podcast. We are so proud of the content we bring to you each week and thrilled to see the impact it has on our listeners. In honor of our 100th episode, we're taking a look back at some of our past episodes. Over the next month, we will be reposting our most listened to episodes for your listening enjoyment. We'd also like to let you know that Jeanette will be taking a month-long break. Don't worry, she'll be back in August. Jeanette has felt the call from Christ to take a break and take a breath. When I tell you that girl hustles, she hustles hard. She is definitely long overdue for a break to focus on life, family, and everything in between. She has entrusted her business to her hardworking behind-the-scenes team of women to make sure you still get all the normal content you love and enjoy. And now we're going to take a listen back to the most downloaded episode, so tell me what you want, what you really, really want.
Do you want God's plan for your life? Do you want to discover your calling? Do you want to build a business that's aligned with God's will? Hey girl, hey! I'm Jeanette, business and faith coach. After a decade in the military, the Air Force said, see you later, and I had to find my true calling. Want to know how God directed my life from a cybersecurity engineer to a faith and business mentor? In this podcast, I'll teach you how to start a business, how to know your business is God's calling, monetization techniques, how to trust the Holy Spirit, and how to set boundaries to listen to His word alone. Ready to become unapologetically unstoppable? So, as you may or may not know, I was in the military, the Air Force, for 11 years. And there's one thing that the Air Force gave me that I could never give myself. Discipline. Yeah, I know, right? I am a person who does not like to be told what to do. I don't like following in line. I like doing my own thing. But the Air Force gave me something that I could never give myself, and that's discipline. And I think it's one of the biggest gifts that they gave me because you need it as an entrepreneur. Boundaries, discipline, structure, all those things I don't actually like, but I know that they're so needed, and it's easier for me to thrive within boundaries. So what boundaries do you have for your life that creates a system of discipline and structure in your life? I know for me that when I also read this book once a year. It's called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it is very good about habit stacking. So if you haven't read the book, I will link it in the show notes, but also it describes habit stacking in a way of, let's say I used to be a smoker. So there we go. So let's say you smoke a cigarette every time you eat, right? But you don't like your breath smelling like cigarettes. So instead of not smoking, the first thing you could do is stack that on to a brushing your teeth after every time you smoke, or like just something similar like that, right? So like every time I'm going to cry, I'm going to do a push-up or something. It's just like having a new trigger for a positive habit to change the way you do habits. And then maybe you're trying to quit smoking. So once you have done I'm going to smoke a cigarette, then brush my teeth, maybe you just go from I eat to brush my teeth, skip the cigarette, and then you don't want to smoke because your breath is fresh. You know what I mean? And then you're going to like smoke a cigarette and then brush your teeth again, which is fine, but it's like habit stacking. It's like creating that discipline and that structure. Right now, I get out of it fairly often, but I know that I need it. And that's why I always go back to the structure and the discipline. It is one of the greatest gifts, I swear to you. It's not like I am neurodivergent. I am ADHD to the max, like super ADHD. But I know that I need these structures in order to be successful. It's the only thing that saves me from going down the rails. I set timers for different things. I know that I need to do X, Y, and Z that day, so I only do a couple of things. Like it's it's like working in my best way, in a structured way, so that way I can get the job done and I can be in flow and I can be in that creativity zone and I can do the things that I like to do, but I'm not like doing it for too long. How transformed would your life be if you had 40 more prayers to pray? Go ahead and go to JeanettePeterson.com/prayers and get my 40 prayers to transform your life and business today. So right now what we're doing is we're also cycle syncing, which means that we are syncing with how our menstrual cycle flows with how our life flows and the things that we like to do during those cycle periods. So one of the things that I enjoy doing during right before my period starts, I don't know all the words for those things, but it's like right before my cycle starts, I like to get in ClickUp, which is our project management tool, and it's got checklists, and like I like to get everything checked off before I'm about to do something where I know I'm not going to be able to do it. So like right before my cycle starts, I'm like checking all the boxes because I know that I'm going to be down for at least a day or two, not wanting to do anything. And so I give myself the space to do so by doing it before. But I also put it in our calendar. We track it in our calendar, our work calendar. So that way people know that Jeanette's going to be like not as creative, not going to be doing so much stuff. She's going to need more support during these 3 days. Sometimes it falls on a weekend, so sometimes it's no days, right? But it's very important that people know that during that time, I am not available to the max. I'm just not maxing out my capacity. And right now we have a calendar that has when I record the podcast. And I like slacked off on it. My schedule, the calendar didn't have my cycle in it, so I didn't do it when I was supposed to do it. Like I felt intuitively like, all right, I could record the podcast now. But I was like looking at the calendar and I was like, well, it's not time yet. I'll wait. And then I waited too late and it threw everybody off. Like the whole team was thrown off because I didn't do what I was supposed to do in my zone and it affects other people. So if you're not cycle syncing, you should keep track of what you like to do during those periods of your cycle. So that way you can maximize how you work. I know it sounds crazy and a little woo-woo, but you know what? God made the sun and the moon and he dictates the tides based on that. So why isn't your body the same? Like we are all part of the same thing, right? So for me, I know that right after my cycle, I'm in creativity mode. That's when I create new products and new offers and like the masterclasses are coming to me. Like I'll literally be laying in bed on Marco Polo Allison and be like, yo, our next class is going to be XYZ and it's going to be this long. That's all I know. And she's like, okay, whatever. And we go from there. Like it just comes. I don't ask for it. It comes to me and it's always after my cycle. It's not during, it's not right before because that's when I'm in the zone of let's get things done because I'm going to be out. So if you don't have a system for your business and or life, you need to create structure. Timers are my best friend. Create structure so you can get things done. Even if it's like, all right, I'm going to do 10 minutes of this. I even do it with my daughter. She's playing the piano and she's practicing and she's like, Mom, I want to practice the piano, but I don't want to practice my fingers. So I was like, okay, 5 minutes of fingers and then do whatever else you want to do. So she only has to do the actual practice for 5 minutes and then she gets to flow with however her heart desires. She gets it out of the way. It's done. I feel good as a mom that's paying for piano lessons, that she's doing what she's supposed to be doing, and she loves it. If I made her sit in front of the piano for half an hour doing the finger exercises, she would probably hate it. She probably wouldn't like it. But if we only do it for a small amount of time, we're getting that done, we're getting it out of the way, and then she gets to flow. She's a little Manny Jen just like me, and she likes to just flow and be creative, and I'm for it. But we got to have structure around it. And it doesn't have to be super strict. It just has to be a little bit. So if you're not creating structure in your life and your business, I challenge you to do that this week. Set a timer for one thing that you know you have to do that you don't like doing instead of procrastinating, Or procrastinate for a set amount of time and then do that thing for 5 minutes and then go back to your procrastination tactic, whatever that is. So watch one episode of Real Housewives, write your newsletter for 10 minutes, only give yourself 10 minutes, and then go back to watching Real Housewives. Just create some structure and some boundaries around the things you want to do to move the needle forward. I 1000% believe you should not be in your business 40 hours a week. That's ridiculous. However, if your things aren't moving, you got to do something to get things moving. So set a timer this week. You got this, girl. Wow, that was so good. So I know that you know somebody that also needs to hear that. So share this episode, leave a review. And I would love if you could watch my free workshop at JeanettePeterson.com/missingpiece. I'll see you guys over on the grams at Jeanette.Peterson. Bye.